Hello, thank you for joining me. This story is called Banjo's Big Lesson. Frogtopia Pond was a peaceful place where all kinds of frogs lived happily. The pond was surrounded by tall trees, soft grasses and colourful water lilies. One day, a new frog named Banjo moved in, and things changed. Banjo was different from the other frogs. He enjoyed making fun of and teasing everyone. One day, Banjo splashed water at Tim, the smallest frog in the pond. "You're so small. You should be a tadpole again." Banjo laughed cruelly. Banjo's words hurt Tim's feelings, and he hopped away crying. Banjo was also very greedy, and most days he would selfishly eat more than he needed to, leaving little food for the other frogs. This was very unkind because sometimes there was not enough food to go around and other frogs went to bed hungry. Banjo also insisted that when he swam in the pond, no one else was allowed in until he was finished. He wanted the pond, including the floating lily pads, all to himself. So the other frogs had to wait until he got out before they could swim or sit on the lily pads. One windy morning, a strong breeze rustled the trees, shaking loose branches and leaves. Most of the frogs found shelter from the storm, but Banjo stayed on his lily pad in the middle of the pond. A brave young frog noticed that Banjo might be in danger. "You should come under cover, Banjo. The wind might blow you away or drop a branch on your head," the young frog warned. Banjo puffed out his chest and scoffed. "Ha! I'm not afraid of a little wind, little frog," he replied. The breeze turned into a strong wind, howling and blowing harder. While the other frogs played safely under the cover of a willow tree, Tim saw trouble. With wide eyes, he watched as a big tree branch came crashing down, headed straight for Banjo. Thump! Plop! The playful frogs stopped playing at the sound of cracking wood, their eyes wide with concern. They peeked out from the safety of the willow tree's branches and saw that Banjo had disappeared. Ripples spread across the water's surface near where he had been sitting. "Banjo is in big trouble. A big branch knocked him into the water," shouted Tim. Hearing this, 3 frogs who had completed water rescue training sprang into action to save Banjo. They dove into the water and found him lying at the bottom of the pond. Working together, they grabbed hold of his front legs and began to pull him up. Even though they were strong swimmers, it was a tough job because Banjo was very heavy. After much huffing and puffing, the frogs finally pulled Banjo onto land and gently laid him on his back. Their faces filled with fear as they noticed Banjo was not moving or breathing. "Oh, what do we do?" one frog asked, her voice trembling with worry. "Banjo's lungs are full of water. That's why he's not breathing," said a frog who was a trained paramedic. "I will jump on his chest until all the water comes out. Then he will be able to breathe again." The determined paramedic frog was sure his plan would work to get all the water out of Banjo's lungs. He started hopping up and down on Banjo's chest. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Soon, big spouts of water began to spurt from Banjo's mouth. He coughed and spluttered, but the little paramedic frog kept jumping until every last drop of water was out of Banjo's lungs. After a moment, Banjo opened his eyes. "Oh, what's going on?" he grumbled, confused. "You got whacked by a falling branch and knocked off your lily pad into the water," explained Tim. "Yeah, you almost went glub glub underwater for good," added another frog. Banjo suddenly realised how kind everyone had been. "Why did you help me?" Banjo asked, surprised. Tim replied, "Even though you've been unkind to us since you moved here, we didn't want to leave you in danger. We believe everyone deserves help when they're in trouble." "I'm sorry for being mean, and I hope you can forgive my unkind behaviour," Banjo replied sincerely. When the storm passed and it was safe to do so, everyone gathered under the party willow tree for a big party. Everyone was glad that Banjo was okay. That day, Banjo learned an important lesson. He realised that being unkind to others is wrong. Banjo now understood that showing kindness, like the compassion the other frogs had shown him, is always the right thing to do. He discovered true happiness through kindness and friendship, and from then on, Frogtopia Pond was filled with joy and laughter once again. And that's the end of the story. Thank you for listening, and if you've enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel and turn on your notifications so that you can stay up to date with our latest stories.